it's Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Today's question is how can I get a woman to say yes? And the answer to this question is really you make it easy for them to say no. Um, there are several reasons why it's hard for a woman to say no. And I'm going to link to a good article from Psychology Today that's why women have a hard time saying no. That goes into a lot of the details on this, but the subtitle of this article says a lot about it. Women often play to get along, and men often play to win. There are many social forces on us that make it harder for women and people who are enculturated as women and as children who are raised as girls to say no. And so making it more easy for a woman to say no empowers her to then say yes. So how do you do that? Especially if you're a person who's interested in getting some yeses from some pretty ladies. Well, you practice. You encourage them to practice. You talk to them about saying no, practicing saying no. Encourage them to say no to you and to receive that appropriately. And the appropriate way to receive any no is that no is a full sentence, full stop. Thank you very much, and I won't ask again. Because you know what? She can always come back and ask you. If she says no and then it has an interest, she can always come back and ask you. And I like to practice saying no because it is something that takes practice. And I found that when I'm talking to people who I might want to say really enthusiastic yeses to, it helps if that person is somebody who I'm comfortable saying no to. So let's talk a little bit about consent theory and some of the other items around this that can really be helpful. So I like the Fry's model of consent. Consent is freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, and specific, which means that so freely given means that it can't be coerced. You can't be too drunk to say yes. Reversible means you can say no at any time. Informed means you know what's going to happen specifically. So, for example, may I kiss you is not then consent to grip boob. That requires a separate question. May I kiss you is not, okay, we're going to move on to having sex. And it's not that you have to do a whole lot to like move from here to there. It's just that it is sexy to ask. It's sexy to actually say, this is really fun. May I touch you elsewhere? May I play with you more in this way or that way? It's really hot when that happens. It's really hot when a person is like, I would really like to fuck you now. That kind of thing. It's great. And it gives you the opportunity to say yes in a positive, confident way. Enthusiastic means it shouldn't be begrudging. So, yeah, I guess so is not a yes. That's a no. And specific, yeah, get what exactly are you going to do? That's what are you consenting to? Consenting to a hug is not consenting to sex. That kind of thing. I will also link to an article that talks about the complexity of consent and how consent should work. But yeah, that's really it. Like you want somebody to say yes, then you need to actually like make it okay and comfortable for them to say no. So why is it hard to say no? Let's talk about that a little bit more detail. And I want to give a content warning here. I'm going to get into some specific discussions about sexual violence against women, children, men, and some specific statistics about rape culture. So if that's not something that you want to hear, then now's a good time to stop the video or the podcast. But yeah, this is really important because there is a culture that we have inherited from generation after generation of our society that puts women in a position where we are expected to be accommodating and to make things better, while at the same time may be the victim of violence at any time from some of the people who are closest to us. So I'm going to give you some statistics, and these are from RAINN, RAINN.org, which is an organization that specifically addresses issues of sexual violence and tries to combat them. So 1 out of every 6 women in America has been a victim of an attempted or completed rape in her life. 1 in 6. And this is down from where it used to be. Sexual violence has actually decreased over the last 20 years as all incidents of violent crime have decreased over time. But it is a very large percentage of the population that is a victim and is directly impacted by this. And that's not counting things like the oppression at work, the general sexism in which we live, the assumptions about what it is to be a woman that are just kind of baked in our society that also discriminate against us, frankly, in what we do. So, but like specific sexual violence, 1 out of every 6, and 90% of victims of sexual violence are women. This definitely impacts men as well, especially younger men and boys, but it just affects women to a greater degree, to a higher percentage. Um, so, um, the breakdown, who actually is perpetrating these crimes? Most of them are happening in or near the home. Most of them are perpetrated by people that you know. So, of all violent crime, only 19.5% is committed by strangers. 39%, almost 40% is acquaintances, and another 33% are current or former boyfriends, lovers, friends. So, yeah, that's a lot of people you know betraying you in the world out there. And that creates this atmosphere of real distrust. It's even worse if you talk about sexual violence against children. And unfortunately, that is not very uncommon in our society. And, it's 93% of the time it's somebody that the child knows who hurts them. So, all this idea of stranger danger, only 7% of the perpetrators are strangers. Most of them are people that the kids know. So, there's just this attitude of mistrust. And saying no can lead to, we're kind of taught that saying no can exacerbate situations that are unsafe and make them more unsafe. So it's hard. It's hard to have that agency. Also want to point out that the vast majority of people who perpetrate these crimes face no punishment. No punishment at all. And most people who get released from prison for these crimes reoffend shortly thereafter. So of every 1,000 rapes or attempted rapes, only 310 are reported to the police. And of those, only 25 out of 1,000 serve any jail time at all. So there's just a lot of fear. There's a whole lot of really justified fear out there about all of this. And that's what you're walking into when you're approaching women about anything fun, sexy, any of that. You're walking into a situation where the overarching culture that you're coming from is one that takes advantage of people, and specifically where there's a big risk of women being sexually taken advantage of. So, yeah, practice no. Be respectful. Ask for everything that you want. And that shows the woman that you're approaching that you are actively countering all of those things. And whether she's consciously thinking about that or not, what you're also doing is triggering those parts of her brain that make her feel safer, that make her feel like you're a person she can trust. Because my experience has been most people out there who are flirting with women, with whatever your gender, are really great people who really are just like trying to get by in this world, trying to make connections with people, and putting somebody at ease by having good consent practices, by encouraging the no's, being respectful of the no's, and then not ramping up your yeses, but instead asking for consent for everything. It really establishes that foundation of trust that makes it comfortable and easier for a person who's into you to give you a really enthusiastic yes. So anyway, thank you very much. Remember, you can ask me anything, and have a great day.